The boys are back on That's a Tap with CT and DJ. We're going to do an MMA roundup, all the things that have happened in the last week or so, some news coming up. But DJ, how you doing?
Doing good, CT. How are you? How's the break been?
It's been good. It's been good. Although I'm ready for some big key fights, ready to
Hey
talk
man.
about it with you, and
Yeah,
hopefully a lot more to come. Obviously, Perth is coming up for us, 305. Looking forward to that
yeah,
as well. I don't know if I'm going to be there in attendance yet, but hopefully,
yeah,
fingers crossed. We're going to talk
yeah.
about that obviously a little bit more. But what are your thoughts? Have you seen much of the last fight night, the weekend? How did you see it play out?
Yeah, man. Like, look, first of all, I think the last time we caught up online was to talk about UFC 303 and talk about the greatness of Alex Pereira. Since then, there was a week off. UFC took a week off, and then, but man, even though they took a week off, there was like UFC news galore. There was so many updates coming out. And then like we had the UFC Denver card last weekend. It was a decent card. We had Rose Namajunas and Tracy Cortez subbing in for Maisie Barber on short notice. Thought she did well. She lasted all 5 rounds. Obviously she brought the tenacity, but just as that it was just a matter of levels to the game, and we know who Rose Namajunas is and sort of her accomplishments within that octagon, and she was able to showcase that against a game opponent. Fighting in altitude. We've always spoken about this, the Denver cards, but this one's it seemed like all the athletes are prepared well, acclimatized to the conditions well. So we had, yeah, like Rose Namajunas get a unanimous win. I just thought she won all rounds. When she had that first knockdown in the first round, I thought that'll be it. Like we'll get the fight done and dusted there. But kudos to Tracy Cortez. She lasted all 5 rounds. She had like a little bit of success here and there as well. Like she was, not shy to get in there and exchange shots. She obviously took some clean and obviously landed some of her own as well. Rose's understanding of the game, the fight IQ, and the ability to level change, and take it to the ground, and dictate the pace of the fight and where it takes place was commendable. It shows why she's a world class fighter. But yeah, look, man, I'm still keen to see that Macy Barber versus Rose Namajunas fight. I know she called for the belt. I know there's a couple of others ahead of her for the belt in terms of what's happening in that division. We got to find out what's happening between Shevchenko and Gravso when that fight will take place. Most likely Sphere. I know we're going to talk about this the Noche card today. So most likely there. Then we've got Manon Furo waiting in the sideline too, who beat Rose Namajunas. So yeah, we gotta wait for that, and then probably maybe Rose could take that Macy Barber fight till then, and obviously further cement a spot as a top contender. I love the core main event, man. We had Drew Dober, always brings the fire, exciting fights, and we had John Silva, who's man, historic turnaround. I know we've seen some quick turnarounds, but look, it's still up there with that. He fought in UFC 303, just a quick turnaround. What is it? 2 weeks time, jumps back right in there, and man, he did not miss a beat. He was striking was crisp. It was tough as hell. So was Drew Doberman through that cut. He just still kept walking forward. Again, found a little bit of success, but I think the cut was bothering him to the point where it got stopped. I thought it was the rightful stop. It wasn't a headbutt that caused the cut either. So, kudos to John Silva. And yeah, man, well done. He's an exciting guy to watch. Uh, he's a game opponent. So yeah, man, decent card overall.
Yeah, you hit the money, man. Exciting, but yeah, gruesome with the Drew Dober. Man, he's a
Yeah,
warrior. But yeah,
yeah,
solid fight night as you explained
yeah.
to everyone, and we
I
had
do.
obviously we had a week off as well.
Yeah, we did. I do stand corrected because that wasn't the core main event. Core main event was Ponzinibbio versus Salikov, whereas this was the third fight in the main card. But yeah, man, look, even that Ponzinibbio fight was good, but yeah, I like the Drew Dober one better.
Yep. I also just want to make sure we pay tribute to the retirement of Michelle Waterson, Karate Hotte, who I'm
Yeah,
not sure if we addressed that in the last
yeah,
one, but
we
you know,
didn't.
for what she's done for the sport was outstanding.
Yeah,
What a fight that was too for her to
correct.
for her to go out. Like, what are your thoughts on her fight?
Absolutely, man. Like, I mean, a pioneer in that in the women's divisions, a well-known household name, entertaining fighter. Win or lose, man, she's always exciting to watch. She never gives up. We've seen that. I recall that whenever even though it was a fight that she lost, I still recall this fight whenever I think of Michelle Waterson, which is the fight with Joanna. Um, I think about not a couple of years ago, but a few years ago. Obviously, Joanna was clearly winning. She was handing out a lot of punishment, but even through all that, she still kept coming forward. She showed a lot of heart, and that's sort of the theme of her fighting style. It's unfortunate, obviously, that she never was able to climb up to that title contention status. But regardless, I think a celebrated career. Obviously, I think it seems like even looking at some of her recent fights, she is taking a lot of damage. So I think it is good that she is deciding to um, hang up those gloves. But look, much respect to her, and obviously gratitude as well for her contribution towards the sport and what she's done.
Yeah, well said, man. Also, gonna hit you with a question too. You mentioned Joanna, the Hall of
Yep,
Famer. Um,
yep.
she tweeted something out recently where should there be some excitement around a women's BMF? You know, would that be something that would get you excited?
Funny you say that, man. Like, I mean, why not? You know what I mean? Obviously, they can't fight. Have fights between the two, men and the women's division. So why not have one for them too? Because we have some really badass fights in the women's divisions as well. So why not? I know Rose called out for one as well. She said, "Look, and if they're going to do a BMF one, let's do that." Yeah, look, I'm down for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, man. It would be nice. Also, some news with John Jones, which we'll touch
Mm.
on, and then we'll look ahead to some pay-per-views and everything. But of course, John Jones is in the news again. Um, as we're hopefully getting him available for November, and we'll talk about the elite schedule that Ariel Hawani put out. But John Jones, like, what do you make of the recent news that that day where he was, visited and tested,
Yeah.
and seems like there might be some repercussions.
Oh, yeah, man. Unfortunate news, especially when we are expecting to fight in November. Um, you know, so obviously there's all this happened in March. We know the whole story. It was all across social media. We had a couple of people going to do some drug tests, and John Jones obviously wasn't thrilled about it, and made his feelings known. Word is that obviously they called to the person on the receiving end. There was threats against their life. Um, However, on the video that they're walking out together, it did seem like they had resolved it and everything seemed amicable. But obviously, the incident must have struck a nerve, and which resulted in them pressing charges. I believe the investigation has taken its course, and they do believe there's substantial grounds to press forward with it, and that's sort of where we're getting the news now. I do think the UFC and John Jones will figure it out. I think they will obviously do all that's necessary to, obviously make amendments. Uh, and I'm hoping the fight it doesn't hinder the fight. You don't want these kind of distractions, especially because we've had him out of action. We were meant to see him last December. Unfortunately, wasn't the case, and we've had to wait a whole year to see him fight again. So hopefully, this will be resolved, uh, and we can move forward, and we get to see him fight in that octagon way. Obviously, he does his best work, and where he can go and do all these kind of things that he's good at.
Yeah, like you said, DJ, we just got to wait for more to come. But yeah, obviously it's not ideal. But let's
Hmm.
see, as you said. Now, on a more positive note, some schedules have come out. Some fights have been announced as well. Cyril Gane
Yeah.
got me
Hmm.
excited. That was one that caught my eye. What's caught your eye from these recent coming up announcements?
Man, there's like a few to be honest. Like I'm glad they found a fight for Dan Hooker. that was something, it would have been a. He's also had a long layoff, and he's coming back now. And he was gunning for a fight in Perth, where his teammates are fighting, and we know that the city kickboxing team, they fight as a team. It was exciting when they come together for a fight card. And yeah, I'm glad they were able to book Gamrot. So yeah, much respect to Gamrot, man. We've spoken about the challenge that these fighters face in terms of coming down here and fighting. So yeah, look, it's going to be an exciting fight. Gamrot's a strong fighter, extremely good grappler. So I'm excited to see how this goes because yeah, Dan Nuka is really good on the ground as well. But obviously he does his best work up on his feet. So it'll be a matter of like, would he be able to negate the wrestling threat and then impose his will, his game plan, or if it's going to be Gamrot sort of getting into like wrestling heavy game. We'll have to see. But I am glad, and that Perth card is shaping up nicely. The press conference took place for UFC Perth, UFC 305. Man, got me even more excited. Both guys seem like they're ready to go. The main event, Israel Adesanya, the guy, Israel Adesanya is a superstar, man. Whenever he fights, there's excitement, and I'm so glad that he's back. We again haven't seen him in action for a year, but I think this time off is going to do him a lot of good. It seems like he's focused, refreshed, and ready to go. If you look at his social media, some of the stuff he's doing, even his intensity in terms of his workouts, balancing balancing everything. It seems like it's going great. I'm excited to see him back, man. Like the just look, there's a few people like the likes of Conor McGregor, John Jones, and then Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira. Now these guys, they bring that excitement like no other. They've reached that superstardom that when they fight, there is a different level of excitement that cannot be replicated. So, and then he was fighting a game opponent in Dricus du Plessis. He didn't seem phased by any of it. I feel like, I mean, you know, obviously tapping into the social media streams as well, but even from just watching it, I feel like Dricus had the best moment in the press conference when Israel Adesanya delivers a cold line, but then he was just responsible for what that means. It was a that was pretty funny, but at the same time, I feel like that was his moment, Dricus's, and that was probably the best moment of that press conference. Again, man, there was a lot of intensity. Um, there's an underlying theme of respect as well. I think more from Dricus, but also Israel Adesanya as well, in terms of giving him credit for his style of fighting, not just in that press conference, even leading up to it. So I'm excited for that fight. But what about you? What about you, CT? What's the fight that gets you pumped? The announcements.
Yeah, look, just to echo what you said, the presser, the stare down, the face off, the
Mm,
longest face off we'd seen. Look, it was put on a little, but had to get viral, had to get it out there. But obviously, yeah, great to have those two warriors square off in Perth, Australia. Great that
yeah,
Hangman Hooker, the bad A was hopefully pleased with getting that opponent. It's gonna be box office.
yeah,
Great question, man. I really do just, for me, it just goes back to the John Jones Stipe, but
yeah.
Connor and
Chandler.
Chandler. We've been waiting forever for it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but obviously Poirier getting one more, and
yeah. I
we're
saw
gonna,
that.
who do you think?
Man, it's interesting, right? Like, I mean, I knew he would come back because I think he was too good, right? Even the last fight, he was so good. Like he took Islam to the very edge, right? Like I mean, not many people can do that. So he kind of realized that he's still got more gas in the tank, so he wants to go for it. I mean, I'm all for it. Usually, when you do like that retirement, not like he did like a formal retirement or anything. He just said, "Look, I think this is it." He never said it is, but he said, "I need to take time and think." So and man, yeah, look, I'm all for it. I'm all for seeing Dustin Poirier again. I'd like to see him go to welterweight. I think we spoke about this in that recap when we did that. Less of a weight cut, but I do think he can hang with some of the guys there. He's got a well-rounded skill set. That Colby fight, it's got a bit of animosity attached to it as well. So it'll be like a box office fight, and maybe a win there. And man, he's right there in that title picture. right? And guess who else is potentially fighting in welterweight? Conor McGregor, right? There's a lot of excitement surrounding that 170 pound division, the welterweight division. So I think, yeah, if he were to make that move, I really like that. I'd be keen. But again, like, I mean, obviously he's got a team around him, and he's got a lot of knowledge in terms of how he feels about himself and his performances. So he'll make that best decision. But I do think he will fight again. Man, on that note as well, like just talking about UFC Perth, Jack Jenkins is back. He had that injury last time he fought. He's back. He's fighting in the Perth card as well. So that's, man, the Perth card is pretty solid. We got Li Jingliang. He's back. Um, so yeah, like some good fights lined up. Talking of which, we're like 2 weeks away from UFC 304, London. It's happening in London, but it's happening at 5 a.m. They're gonna walk out at 5 a.m. to fight. They're gonna walk out at 5 a.m. and then they're gonna go and get a McMuffin and a hash brown afterwards. What do you think, man? What do you think
Oh,
of the card?
that is, yeah. We've voiced our opinion, like
Yeah,
you got to respect to the local fighters and
mm,
give them the proper time
absolutely.
frame. I mean, it could affect their performance at the end of the day. Us as
Yeah,
viewers, we're secondary. DJ, but
yeah,
with that said, yeah, England, yeah, always a great venue. Always pumped to see
yeah.
the big cards there. Um, also, yeah, echo your thoughts with Poirier, but um, give me your thoughts on the England card. But also, I got a question for you, man. Poirier is going to be a one and done. He's going to sign off. I feel strongly about another legend signing off with one more. His name is El Kukui, Tony Ferguson. Right? How good would it be? What do you think of this idea where they both finish
Fight each
against
other.
each other and it's a double retirement?
It could be, man, but I feel like based on recent performances, right? I just feel like they're miles apart at the moment. If this was this was like 2 3 years ago, 100%. Just even if it's just to that Justin Gaethje fight, right? Because this was a fight that was touted to happen just before COVID or during that COVID period. It never came to fruition, but yeah, like I don't know if now I know Ferguson's already fighting Michael Chiesa, so we got um, yeah. Look, um, if it's one and done, as he said, it's one and done. He said it's just one more, is it, for Poirier?
He tweeted one more, but maybe he
Mm.
hasn't officially announced. I think.
Man, if it's one more, why not give him the title shot? Do you know what I mean? Like, give him the 170 title shot. I don't know. Like, I know you can't make a case for the 155 one because Islam finished him. It wasn't. It was a competitive fight. He pushed Islam to the brink, but I still did think Islam won soundly. It wouldn't make sense. Won't be fair for the other guys as well. We've got to see the Arman fight. I know that's in jeopardy too because of him, punching that fan during his walkout. They've charged him, but apparently he has to release a video, an anti-bullying video, and then he would be fine to be cleared to fight. So he's going to do that. So he's going to fight. Which, I think they'll figure the same thing out, Jones. That's what they'll. There could be some other remedy that won't impact the fight. I feel. Um, but overall, England card. My thoughts. The London card, I should say. Man, one of the best London. While you got all the browsers in there. You got Leon Edwards main eventing against Bilal Muhammad. One could even argue that it's been a long time coming since their first meeting, which ended unceremoniously with the eye poke. They have not, Bilal Muhammad's gone and done his work. He's won every fight. He's beaten every contender that's put in front of him. He beat Gilbert Burns last, so it's an interesting fight because Bilal Muhammad has improved a ton, man. Like that performance against Gilbert Burns on I think 2 weeks' notice was impressive, and I think it's going to be a tough fight for Leon. So it's an exciting main event. We've got Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blades. They're running him back because obviously again another fight that got interrupted due to an injury. Both the main event and the co-main event are both rematches, and the first fight was interrupted due to a doctor stoppage or an eye poke for the first one. The other one was a knee injury. So we'll see. Again, Tom Aspinall's now the interim champ since then. I actually thought Curtis Blades was having a lot of success in that first fight before it stopped. So it didn't last long, but Curtis Blades was going really well. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. We've got King Green. You can't call him Bobby Green anymore. It's King Green fighting Paddy Pimblett. I'm super excited for that fight, man. I feel like, obviously we've seen Paddy Pimblett, beat Tony Ferguson and all these contenders, but now I feel like he's slowly moving up that food chain. And King Green was the right next move for him. I think if he can get a win over him, that kind of pushes him into that top 10 matchups, which will and from then on it gets exciting, it gets tough. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. Mukhayev's there. He's fighting Manel Cape. He had an exciting time when he was in Sydney last time. So he's fighting Manel Cape. Allen's in the card, man. Fighting Giga Kikad. So that's a solid ass main card. You can't ask for more. Let's look at the prelims. Who's in the prelims? You got Nathaniel Wood, pretty good fighter. He's fighting Pineda. You got Molly McCann's in it. Some good fights. Early prelims. Oh, whoa, that's a long early prelim. You got a lot of you got 5 fights in the early prelims. Wow, it's a long card, man. I think probably to get the local fans excited because they all start early. Solid card, I reckon. Probably one of the better cards in recent times. I know we had that they were building momentum up until UFC 300, and 301 sort of dropped it a little bit. 302 was good on paper, but it wasn't like the best apart from that main event. Then 303 also was the same. The international fight week one, with the Conor McGregor news, Alex Pereira steps in to save it. But again, a solid main event, and a Corey man, obviously. But this one here seems like a packed card.
Yeah, we'll be breaking it down. We'll be given a full preview before it happens as well, and then all eyes will turn to Perth
Correct.
305. But yeah,
What's
just to
that
go
looking
back
like?
on, yeah, the question
Yeah,
you
no,
asked
go
me
for it.
before, one of the
Yeah.
biggest ones I'm looking forward to is Urseg
Mm.
Kaikara, because I
Kaikara
firmly
Erceg, yeah.
believe I want him back in competing against Pantoja. I think Urseg is good for the belt and should have won against Pantoja. So this is a little bit of a
Yeah.
trap fight, but I
Yeah.
think Urseg's good enough to win and then hopefully get that rematch. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they'd give him the rematch straight away because of not many contenders in that division at the moment, and then can't make a case for Moreno yet. And I'm sure they're saving Moreno for the Noche card. But yeah, man, like Steve Ursic's impressed all of us. Came in short notice, steps in to fight. Relatively short notice, steps in to fight one of the savage champions in that division, and actually, according to some people, won that fight. I'm still split on that. Sometimes I feel when I watch it, oh, maybe Pantoja did enough. Sometimes I feel like Erceg did enough. So it was interesting. So yeah, man, pretty good, solid fight. I would even treat this as a contender fight because you got Cape and Makaya fighting in the other card, 304, right? One would also argue that's a contender fight. So it'll be very interesting to see how they'll want to do it because we also know there's some bad blood between Manel Cape and Kai Kara France, right? If Cape were to win and Kai Kara France were to get it done, is that a matchup they'd be looking at, right? But then you can't make a case for Urseg after losing to make that fight, unless Cape wins and then Urseg wins. So Kai Kara, although a loss, goes for that bad blood matchup and could make his way up from that. So there's a lot of scenarios that this could play, but we'll have to wait and see, man. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm looking at the 305 card, and that's pretty solid too. So technically, am I right in saying that, or is there another week off? So we got one card. 304 is 20th of July, and then the next one is next week, 4th of August. Okay, there is a break in between, and then it's UFC 305. So the two events happening within 4 weeks. Okay, I'm looking at the Perth card. Got Dricus, Adesanya at the top, Kai Kara, Steve Erceg is the core main. Tuivasa's fighting Jairzinho Rosenstrike, one of your favorite fighters. And hey, take this. Did you ever think you'd see these two names, Tafa versus Walker? But not the elder brothers, but this is the fight of the younger brothers, Junior Tafa and Walter Walker, brother of Johnny Walker in heavyweight division. Casey O'Neill, Joshua Kulibao, Jack Jenkins, Tom Nolan, another local talent. So yeah, there's some. They haven't really fleshed out that card yet fully, but so far solid card, man. It's still unclear if Whitaker be backup for it because I know after the UFC Saudi Arabia card he said he will, but then since then he did say, look, I just got to think about it. Like if you go look at one of his recent podcasts in his channel, he says, look, I'm no backup fighter, like you tell me who I fight and then I prepare and I'll fight. And you want to agree with that. He's a top tier fighter. Yeah, you do get perks when you are a backup fighter. We've seen that with the UFC. Bilal Muhammad was one, Colby Covington was one. We've seen that in the recent past. So yeah, look, it'll come down to sort of how things play out. I understand, you don't want to just go through a camp for nothing, not knowing who you're going to fight because we know that Bobby Knuckles is a very methodical fighter and his training camps, everything's very methodical, and tailored to the opponent. So understandable. But hey, guess what? Sandwich between 305 and 304 is another killer card, at least the main event. We got that's the Abu Dhabi one, I'm pretty sure, which is Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. For the main event, you got Nick Diaz back fighting Vicente Luque. Did you ever think you'll see Nick Diaz's name? I mean, get a load of this card, man. Marlon Vera versus Davison Figueiredo. What? Tony Ferguson, Michael Chiesa, Mackenzie Dern, Lupe Godinez. Man, this is crazy. They've got a stacked ass card there. Obviously, it's Abu Dhabi, so obviously they're going to make it big. You got Alonzo Menafield is back. Phew. Man, this is a good card.
Yeah,
Jeez.
so they obviously, yeah, you got to fit in the quotas.
Mm-hmm.
Fighters been on hold. Some of them haven't even
Yep.
fought this year yet.
Yep.
Menafield, I don't know if he is one, but two. But yeah, a lot to look forward to. Absolutely, lot on the cards.
Yeah.
This little break's been good. We're gonna drop a boxing episode as well because there's a lot
Yep.
happening with that, with the potential Lomachenko
Yeah.
Davis matchup. But yeah, what else have you got?
Hey, we didn't talk about Noche, but before we talk about Noche, let me ask you something, man. Like just a one word answer. This McGregor fight in 2024.
I'm gonna lean towards yes, but there's only one more chance. Like, if it falls through, it'll obviously fall through to next year. So
Okay.
if there's another injury or an opponent injury, I just don't know what to make of it, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, with injuries, I just wanted to quickly add something when you mentioned backup with Whitaker.
Yeah.
So I feel like fighters are going to be more reluctant, less likely to step in if they're a big name. I'll tell
Yeah.
you why, because they've got a lot to lose. We've seen
Yes.
Whitaker lose. We've seen Volk lose a
World
belt.
Quiz. Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
seen set back their careers, and what it'll mean is the UFC will be able to find kind of lesser ranked opponents who will step in on shorter notice because they've got less to lose, more to gain. So
Yeah.
so, in other words, there'll still be backup fighters, but I think the strategy for the UFC will probably just to make it the seventh or eighth ranked guy, who
Yeah.
no doubt will definitely be happy to take that opportunity. It just won't be the number one or two ranked contender,
Yeah.
because really, do you want to risk your lone title shot, be the only
Mm.
one where it's short notice, when you can realistically just chill and make
I
sure you
agree with
get
you,
a
man.
full camp?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like especially Whitaker, right? He's had a shot already. You don't want to miss it again, right? So 100% agree. So yeah, I'm with Whitaker on that. He should just wait his shot. I do feel if he doesn't do the backup, they will try and make that Sean Strickland fight, which I'm all for. Like, let's make that Sean Strickland fight. I think it's a good fight. I think it's the higher risk fight for Whittaker, obviously, because we know how hard Sean Strickland is. But it's still a good. You get that win. That means you cement yourself for that title shot. I think Sean Strickland's pretty set that he will wait and fight for the title, the winner of Adesanya or Drickers. Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see. Um, the yeah, same man. Like I do believe McGregor will fight this year. Um, I feel like I saw a tweet come out. Dana White did an interview with is that TMZ? I can't remember who he did it with, but he was more like leading up to that. Every time he was asked, he said, "I don't know." Right? We need to see. Like, I'm not saying anything until I know he's ready. Whereas in that recent interview, he says, "Look, yeah, the desire is to have it in 2024. Michael Chandler is the guy, and we will get it done," which shows promise. Which means it seems like they've had dialogue, and it seems like it's a positive conversation, and it's going to happen. So I'm just gonna hope that comes into fruition. I think Ariel Elwani dropped a list of a lineup, just saying it's not confirmed, but it's a lineup. So some pretty good fights, man. Like Noche was O'Malley versus Marab, and then there was another 307 in the middle. So I'm assuming it'll be in September as well, which is Ilya versus Max, and then we had Islam versus Arman for October, Jones versus Stipe for November, and McGregor Chandler for December. But again, last weekend they dropped saying in the Canadian broadcast apparently they had some videos saying they said Max and Ilya and Sean and Merab will all be in the UFC Noche card, which is what is it, UFC 306, right? Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think there's any new. Let me see. Yeah, no, it only goes up to the fight night after UFC 3, and that's Calvin Cater. So yeah, I would like to think both title fights will be in the same card because of how big of an event they're making this UFC Noche to be. Like, yes, it'll be great to have Sean O'Malley, Merab, and then you got Shevchenko and Grasso as the co-main, but it loses that factor. Just like that UFC 300. We saw every fight was stacked. So I think adding that Max and Ilya in there just makes it a legendary card and brings all eyeballs on you. This is a one and done, right? Like the Noche, the Sphere is one and done. Sorry, not the Noche, the Sphere is one and done. And we've invested a lot of money. What do you call it? Riyadh Seasons involved in it, right? And we know they spare no expenses, right? So I think it'll make sense to have both of that in that card, but we'll have to wait and see. Right? McGregor makes sense for December with Chandler. Usually fights end of the year, early start of the year, all those big events like Madison Square Garden and International Fight Week. But yeah, look, I think it's just hard, man, to sometimes see, like when you look at his social media, like I don't know if it's like old content, but in some is training, in some is drinking, so you don't know which one's which. But hey, guess what? One thing we know is that he is the master of mental warfare, right? I mean, maybe that's what he wants us to think. That's what he wants his opponent to think, that he's not taking it seriously. So we'll have to wait and see. Um, the fact that it wasn't fun that he pulled out. I still haven't got the refunds to all the pizzas I ordered for the event in June, but it wasn't fun. But the fact that he did that shows that he's taking it seriously. He doesn't want to come in compromised. So he wants to come in. He's gunning for the win. Let's see. Let's hope he comes in. And then, what's the one card? Like there's 6 more left, right? Or 5 more. Um, what's the card that you're looking forward to the most? There's some stellar cards in there, some big ones coming up.
Yeah, that's an easy one, man. MSG, November.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
they're going to pull out all the stops. Obviously,
yeah.
Jones, Stipe. For us older heads will be,
Mm,
nostalgic. And that's
yeah,
special. Like fingers crossed we get it.
yeah,
But if not, I feel like they're definitely going to pivot, and it'll be Aspinall or something. They're not going to risk not putting Jones out there if Stipe's the one that drops
yeah.
off. You know what I
But at the
mean?
moment, the question mark is Jones, not Spain. Oh man, it's so interesting. But
Because
yeah,
the
look,
thing is,
MSG.
the DJ Stipe doesn't want to go up against no one else. Like not even an
Yeah,
Aspinall would. He just
yeah,
wants to finish with knowing that he's better than Jones.
yeah,
So yeah, it's going to be useless if Jones can't front.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I don't know if it's viable for Stipe to wait any longer, man. He's become the oldest fighter without even fighting for the last 5 years. So it's a bit tough. It's a bit tough, but
Hey,
yeah, look, we'll have to.
where it is where it is I've had two kids since Deep.
Oh, oh my God. Oh, jeez, man. Like, yeah, I didn't have any grey hairs when he fought last. You know what I mean? Now it's different. But it seems like he's training in the background. We'll see. It is a legend versus legend fight, and they'll pack that card, right? But I am keen for Noche, man. I'm the UFC 306 card because it's something unique they've not done before. And we know when Dana White says he's going to go all out, he does. He delivers. I know UFC 300 didn't turn out the way they intended in terms of on paper. I know they wanted that McGregor fight in there, which didn't work out. They were trying to do the champ fight, didn't work, and then they went with the Alex Pereira fight and the BMF fight. Card, everyone, look. This we were told was going to be when the card finished. All agreed on one thing. Every single person, it was one of the best cards ever, right? And I think they will do that. They'll try and replicate that for 306. So I'm keen. I'm looking forward to that one. But MSG is a given, right? It's just it's a date on our calendar that we mark every year, saying keep the day free. It's going to be a legendary card.
Yeah, yeah, well said. And on that note, we'll wrap it up with the
Sorry,
excitement for what's
CTR,
coming up.
we can't get
Um,
you coming through.
okay, can you hear me now? Might be some audio challenges on your side. I think my levels seem to be on. No, I can't hear you.
Yep, I can hear you now.
Yep, you're back. Yep. So yeah, I
Yeah.
was just gonna say, yeah, to wrap things up, I'm excited, and there's excitement for what's to come with the next England card, then Perth, and then yeah, we'll be inching closer to, Noche and MSG as well. Yeah, I echo your comments on the Noche card. It looks like they're just gonna basically spare no expense for production costs and probably run at a loss just because they want to put on the best show ever, like
Yeah.
live sporting event ever. It's going to be
Yeah.
insane,
Yeah.
DJ.
100%, 100%. And the UFC is the market leader in all this. You know, putting the best fights. There's no other organization that can replicate them. So we know there'll be a good product. We just got to wait and see how good it'll be. That's it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if any of these concerts I've seen are anything to go by, it's going to be magical, right? I can't imagine what a ticket is going to cost, but look, it'll be once in a lifetime
Everyone's like,
as well.
apparently there's like buzzers on the seat. So each time a punch lands, your seat vibrates or something. Like 40x, man. It's going to be like 40x. You know, They
Yeah,
might they
and
might even hire a fighter each per chair to like land actual punches on the viewer to get maximum experience.
could you imagine if all the fans that paid whatever price to get in, and as you enter, they say everyone must hand over their cell phone so that, nothing can be captured in there. It's just for your eyeballs for that moment. So no one's distracted by any cell phone.
Wouldn't be surprised. Would not be surprised at all. But yeah, we'll have to. It'll be either that or either yeah. Like we want all the hype to go out to see, you know, what the UFC can do. So either
Yeah.
way, we're in for a treat, man.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're a smart man. Yeah, there'll be too much marketing opportunities missed by not having the recordings. But
Yeah,
that wraps this one up, DJ, and we'll be live. We'll be back soon to preview the England card and more announcements to come. And yeah, stay tuned for our boxing episodes as well. And we look forward to announcing a future guest as well to come on and talk to us. But DJ, it's always good to talk, and let's talk about it soon. Peace, everyone.